There may come a time, especially if you're working in a studio environment or a collaborative environment, when you need to break up your Storyboard Pro file, your project file, into multiple parts so that more than one person can work on it at any given time. So for that reason, we're going to look at a few different ways to split the project or break it up. And the first one of those ways is to split a storyboard into two parts. To split a Storyboard Pro project into two parts, the first thing you want to do is go in your thumbnails view or in your timeline view and select the panel where you want the split to take place. So for example, here I am going to click on the first panel of scene 13 and then go to the top menu where it says File, then Project Management, and then Split. When you click on that, it's going to automatically save, and then you have some choices here. Do I want to export everything before my selected panel, which would be going to the left, or do I want to export everything after the selected panel? In this case, the panel I selected is at the beginning of another part of the story, so I'm going to export everything after my selected panel and include that selected panel in the split. So now I'm going to press OK, but before I do, you'll see this OK is grayed out. And the reason why is because you have to use this folder here to tell it basically where am I going to save this exported split part of the project. So I'm going to click on the file and it will open up a file browser window. Here's my file window that popped up on my computer where I'm storing my Storyboard Pro projects. So now I want to save this part of the split, so I'm just going to give it a name. In this case, I'll call it Moon Girl Part 2, and then click Save, and it's going to basically create a new file, everything that happens after the selected panel. Now I do have the option here. I can remove the exported panels from the current project, or I can keep them in by leaving this unchecked. And that depends on whether or not you want to have all the panels back in the project at the end. But basically you could choose to take them out, in which case after you make the split they won't be there anymore, or to uncheck it so that you can have the original version in your board. So in this case I'm going to keep it in for demonstration purposes, and I'm going to press OK. And when I do, it is basically saving that whole second part as a separate project. So it's working on it right now. Now it's done. So this part is still here because that's what I chose in the checkbox. But I'm going to show you that if I go over to my file browser now, I do have a brand new project called Moon Girl Part 2. And if I were to open up this Moon Girl Part 2, you would find that it is comprised only of scenes 13 through the end, because that's where I decided to make the split. Now I'm going to show you how to put those two projects back together again in a little bit, but for right now I also want to show you a different way of breaking up projects, and that's to use the extract menu command. Now extracting from a project is different than splitting, because with extracting you have more options in terms of which particular scenes to take out of the project. You could take out scenes from the middle, and you can extract a number of different sections rather than just a split, which is always breaking the storyboard into two parts. So to extract, let's say once again I want to extract scene 13, but I only want to extract up until scene 16. Alright, so I'm going to place my cursor and select scene 13. I will now go to File and once again Project Management, but this time Extract. And when I go to extract, I get a window that pops up. And what's interesting here is that the scene that I've selected is already sort of pre-selected in this list, which can make it very easy to find what you're doing. If you want to select more than one scene, like I want to select scenes 13 through 16, I'll press the Shift button and then click on 16. Alright, and there I have 13, 14, 15, and 16 highlighted. and I'm going to extract those scenes. And once again, I have the option to remove them completely as I take them out, or I can leave them in so that later on I could compare the two versions of the scenes. That's completely up to you. It works great either way. So I'm going to click on Extract Selected Scenes, and when I do, a window pops up again asking me where this extraction should be stored. So I'm going to name this project. It's going to take scenes 13 through 16 and it's going to make a brand new project out of them. And I will just call this Moon Girl scene 13 through 16. You can name it anything that you want to. I'm going to press save, and then I'm going to press OK once I'm sure that everything is the way that I want it to look. Alright, so now that I have extracted those, and just to show you what the extraction looks like, I'm going to open up that project of just 13 through 16. So I will go to File, I'll go to Open, I'll find my projects, I will click on Moon Girl scene 13 through 16, I'll open it, and when I open this, you can see that I have a project that's comprised just of scenes 13 through 16. And so if you have a partner or a crew member and you want to hand this scene out to them, you can do so, and then they will be able to have a file that just contains the scenes that they need to be working on. I'm going to show that extraction technique one more time while actually removing the panels, so just so we can see what that looks like, and to show one other technique. And this is, if I were to select the scenes that I want to extract first by selecting the first panel, for example, I want to remove this entire pirate set of scenes. So I'm going to click on the first panel of scene 7 and then go to the ending of these pirate scenes and press shift and then click on the final panel there, and I have all of those panels and all of those scenes selected that I'm going to extract. So now when I go to File and Project Management and Extract, now when I have that window, it shows you all of the scenes that I have selected, already pre-selected in the dialog box. So in this case, I am going to remove the extracted scenes from this project. Let me press on this button to extract the selected scenes. It's going to ask me where I want it. I will call it Pirate scene 7 through 12, I believe it was, and click Save, and then press OK. And now it has not only extracted those scenes into a different project, but you'll see that there is no file between, there are no scenes between scene 6 and scene 13. And that Storyboard Pro file exists in its own folder once again. So if I go to Open, and then I go over here, I can see that in my projects that the Pirates scene 7 through 12 is there as its own project, so it hasn't gone anywhere. So I'm just going to press cancel. And incidentally, anytime I do this, it's a good idea to back up your storyboards before you start extracting. So just for review's sake, to back up a storyboard, you go to File, Back Up Storyboard, and then in your projects, give it a name. It automatically gives it a suffix of SBBKP, which just tells it that it's a backup file, and then you just press Save. This is completely optional, but I like to make plenty of backups so that if I make a mistake or I do something wrong accidentally, then I can always recover it. So that backup is successful. Again, a backup doesn't affect your file at all, but it gives you a safety copy. Sometimes lets you feel a little more free about making changes to your project.